What's up guys, it's Akref Gaming here. Today we're going to be talking about best fighting game stage transitions. If you don't know what I mean when I say stage transitions, it's normally just when you hit a character with a big move that sends them flying into a whole nother arena. There's not a lot of these anymore, or they'll transition into another stage when the actual match is done. It will kind of change, but fighting games aren't as dynamic as they used to be. It's okay because things have to be faster, you know, there's a lot of esports and fast-paced gameplay per se, but I miss the old days when there was those little in-betweens when you can see like that visual spectacle. But I'll give you an example just to start with. When it first released, it wasn't my favorite game. I played a bit of it, but it didn't have that competitive aspect. It's an anime fighter, Jump Force. Jump Force was meant to be something so great, so good, but it just ended up just being really dry. They had such a cold lineup. They had Meruem, Vegeta, they had Bleach characters, they had Naruto characters, they had so much characters to work with, but generationally, anime fighters are always a bit meh. But their stage transitions, they were crazy. And I like the way in that game they kind of mixed together. You had Konoha from Naruto, or they had like Hokumondo from Bleach mixed with Paris or London. They just had elements from the real world and anime world that blended together kind of nicely, but I don't think the hard kind of realistic style suited the game that well, but that's just my personal opinion. I'll give you an example of a stage transition. So as you can see, some dynamic, you know, crazy, like everything's exploding, you're hitting buildings, this is collapsing, that's collapsing. They had good destruction in the game, but destruction doesn't always make a good fighting game, if not done well. That leads on to my next point. The next game I'm going to be talking about is Dragon Ball FighterZ. If you haven't played it, fast-paced gameplay, reminds me a bit of like Marvel vs. Capcom in a sense, but every anime fighter needs to take reference from the way that they did this game, from the combos to the system. Everything was fast-paced. It looked like every panel was straight out the manga. There's like some really good comparison videos which I'll put up on screen, but they had one-for-one arc systems. When it comes to anime fighters, they do a lot of the Guilty Gear stuff, but they're just so good when it comes to anime fighters. But their stage transitions as well were fire.
Every ounce of power you got in you! Right!
Yeah.
And the one thing that makes a good like fighting game when it comes to destruction, for example, you start from Planet Namek. It's General Planet Namek. When someone lets down a Super, or Frieza lets down his, or Cooler lets down Supernova, it just changes it into just a destructive, but planet that's about to explode almost. But it references the actual anime, although the manga, if we're talking about that specifically. But it's just those little attention to details, like you have Cell games, or you know, it will just turn into just like a field after it's been destroyed. But it's just those, even when you go from fighting inside the tournament stage, and then you get sent to an island, or sent to a city, or the canyon stage, or you just don't get sent nowhere, and you just, when you die, you get sent into just a canyon rock or something. But Dragon Ball FighterZ had some great stage transitions. The next game I'm going to be talking about is Injustice. Injustice has had good things about it and it had a lot of bad things about it, but their stage transitions were one of the greatest I've seen. They were almost like, some of them were a bit silly. Some of them, they felt almost like Final Destination. You know how like when something conveniently falls in place or falls on top of them, but when they actually meant it, play the clip. So as you can see, they had some sick examples, like when you get sent through Wayne Manor and you're scraping through, your face is scraping through the floor, or you just get sent down through cityscapes, or that one clip of just like you get thrown into, I do not know what DC characters' names are, but you get sent into the two Ant-Man looking characters and they grab you with the fist and they boom, they're hitting you and the windows are shattering just at the sheer power of the punch. It's just little things that make a big difference. The next game I'm going to be talking about is Mortal Kombat vs. DC. That game was terrible. But when I was young, that game was heat. But the thing I liked about the game the most, the fighting was very stiff, it felt very clunky, but one thing I can't take away is when you send someone off the ledge or throw them into a wall, this happens. I'm surprised they haven't done that. Well, as far as I'm aware, they haven't done that where like you're falling with the characters and they're punching and kicking and then they let out like a kick or like a barrage of punches, or they just drag them and throw them down. And even like there's like a roughhouse element to just grabbing someone and just spearing them through buildings. It almost gave me like Invincible vibes. If you've watched Invincible, you see some of these fights and Christ, it's just the brutality aspect of them. Just great. Just flawless in terms of that. But in other words, the game was really bad. The last game I'm gonna talk to you about is one of my favorites, in my opinion. Dead or Alive. I'm not gonna say specifically which one, because they've always been good with their stage transitions, whether it's in terms of environmental destruction and interacting with your environment. Dead or Alive do it the best. Whether you're Jan Lee and you put him on the wall, any character, everyone has wall grabs, specific, and you don't even have to do no intricate command to do it. You can just literally press forward and grab, or if you're behind the wall, they'll just do craziness. But when you send them off a ledge, but Dead or Alive shines with some of their older games like Dead or Alive 3 and Dead or Alive 4. Even like the interaction with the stairs when Jan Lee is sliding down with someone's face, or you had just getting kicked off, or just just something like Brad Wong just rolling down the stairs and stuff like that. Like, it's crazy, but it's just that element of appreciation and attention to detail that not a lot of these developers have anymore. It's just about fast-paced gameplay, getting back into the game. Like, they don't even do slow motion anymore. Remember when like a game NKO and you see like the replay in slow motion? I miss that. Tekken 8 does do it with the slow-mo elements of like when your life's low, which makes for some great esports moments and highlights. I can't even lie to you. I'll show you a quick example. So there's not much I can take away. I get that we moved on to we're in that period where gameplay needs to be much more faster. They can't do anything that would slow down fighting game gameplay now, because everything is just, it's a competition of who has the fastest gameplay and who can keep you very engaged in a game. People don't like watching replays anymore, but for a tournament scene, and all fighting games are trying to be in a tournament scene, it makes the most sense. But alas, that is the end of what I'd say. If you got towards the end of this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I notice a lot of people are watching my videos, but they're not actually subscribed. So if you haven't already, or if you have, or if you haven't, please subscribe. Join the crew. We're chilling over here. But I appreciate you watching the video. Also, if you like some of my art, like aspect or arty works, check out my TikTok. I post most of those reels on there too. It's been Acrobath.